Well, hello. Good e-
Hello.
good evening, Jay. This feels so good to have you up here. It really, really does. Well, I have to say, I didn't know if I was going to get this together for tonight. Like this has been a really, really rough one, but I am really well, let's just say I'm kind of really thrilled that you're here for this one because it has so much of the stuff we used to talk about and some of the older cases that we did that are already solved, like some of the hiccups that it has. It's like this case has so much in it, and it's been going on for years and years and
three
years
years. 3 years
and
now.
years. Yes, we're going to talk about. If you guys didn't see we are going to talk. The thumbnail clearly states Shawnee Lynn Krall. And for those of you that are not familiar, this is a he's been charged with murder. He's coming out of Minot, North Dakota. Okay, so it's quite far away. Not something that we've talked about over the last 3 years, even though it started in 2020. Okay, but I think I've got it all pulled together. It's been kind of hard, right, Jay? Like there are no. I do not have a 6-inch file of legal documents that you think I would have
Yeah.
for 6 years.
Well, when it comes down, you're going to have about a 12-inch case
Yeah.
because from what I read, the defense has 1,000 sheets of
Hmm.
evidence.
Thousands. Thousands. Yeah. You know, yeah, they think, but that's gonna be well, we're gonna see. Well, on trial. And like the reason I've been looking at it for a couple of months, but it actually hit the news last week. Okay. Let me just bring up something let me just bring up the presentation. This is a little bit new, Jay, than we used to do, but this is how it's going to do. Meet Shawnee Lynn Krall from the thumbnail, everyone. Uh, he is incarcerated at this time and has been since December of 2020. Okay, so hello, Juju, Wrecker, Cool Frog. Nice to see you here. Quite a few. Oh, I have to say, oh, hi, Mark. Nice to see you. Very nice to
Hi,
see you,
Mark.
Mark.
I
Yep.
did not do it. I did
I
not.
did not. I did not.
Oh, hi,
I
Mark.
did not hit her. Oh
I did
gosh.
not hit her. I did
I did.
not.
I did not. I did. It's like it's okay. Now that Tommy Wiseau has entered the building, okay, I think I can carry on. Hey, Rocky Couch, Chill. Thank you so much for being here to mod. I appreciate you, Boo. That's so great. Um, but it's so nice to see all of you in the chat. Um, and Juju, I'm glad you're here because if I had to repeat this to you later, it would take days. Days. Okay. All right. So I'm so glad that you're here for this. And then for those of you that miss it, there's going to be replay. There's going to be no way. There's going to be no way. Thank you, Record, for being here to mod also. Mm. Oh, only 1,000. He's getting off easy. Yeah, you're dead, Record. Oh my gosh, you just wait. Just wait, guys. Just wait. All right. First slide is a doozy. All right, there's a lot. Okay, we got 3 years to go, so there's a lot of typing going on here on the first slide. But anyway, Mister Mister Krall, Shawnee Clark, was arrested December 23rd of 2020. He's been charged with the double A felony murder of Alice Quirolo, 29, who died on December 20th, and he faces life in prison. Okay, now the scenario is that he's been accused of um Alice Quilolo was reported missing on December 21st of 2020. She was reported missing when her family and co-workers, she did not show up for work. Law enforcement started to look for her. Um, Alice Quilolo is said to had a brain tumor, and so she was a person at risk. Law enforcement started searching the whole general area. They became aware that Shawnee Lynn Krall was a roommate of hers. She rented a room to this gentleman. And so he became a suspect immediately. Mr. Krall was already at the time on probation for other violent offenses. Okay. He was well known to law enforcement at the time. So he was already on probation and in the system. He was out. Probation meaning, whatever the offense was, he wasn't in prison anything anymore, but he was, had to follow certain rules, right, Jay? Like
Mhm.
he definitely is well known by them. He's got a parole officer, etc. The reason I bring that up is it's going to become very important, very in the case. Okay. Basically, let's just go over the first slide stuff. He intended to he was arrested. Okay. I'm going to jump forward a little bit because, and then come back to the slide again for the other details. So it's going to be like this, people, because there's so much. Okay. Alice Quillerlo, who is 29, police say suffered from a brain tumor, was reported missing by her family and coworkers on December 21st when she didn't show up for work. They found that she had left home without her cell phone or her vehicle, which made it like a high probability of foul play.
Yeah.
They
So yeah, her purse, her cell phone, her vehicle, and her dog were all there.
Yep, the dog was there too. Yep. And they discovered that she rented a room to Shawnee Lynn Krall. Her body was later found that day, found in a trunk, deceased and bound, restrained. Okay. And those two things are going to be quite important too. Found in a trunk and restrained. Shawnee Lynn Krall, this is his mugshot. He was arrested 2 days later on 12/23. At the age of 28, he is now 31 years old.
Like he
This
looks
is,
like such a teddy bear.
doesn't he? He just does not look. He does not look. He does not look like this type of crime. Okay, but we've got to talk about what he actually got charged with. Okay. I'm going to go to the scenario and I'm going to get it from the statement of facts in an appeal that was done, which is one of the only legal documents that I have. And one of the reasons is this whole case has been sealed shut tight. Okay. There's not a scrap. As a matter of fact, if you go to the AIs like Bard, like Google, and you put this guy's name in, it won't even bring up an article.
Nothing.
It won't bring up a document.
Researching this case was such a pain in the ass.
Which is like if I can even fill you in from soup to nuts on this, which I guarantee I'm quite proud I'm going to be able to do. That's a feat. But just piecing it together the way we're going to go right to the appellate's actual statement, which I just linked in the chat for you guys, for those of you that like to read along with this. But from the statement of facts, we're going to be able to piece together exactly what happened, why he got arrested. Okay. And I'm going to just read it verbatim while we look at the other stuff. No, I'll just put Jay and I up while I read this instead of Shawnee, because he is kind of, those shifty eyes. I don't want to scare you off for too long. Okay.
Shifty eyes.
He definitely has shifty eyes. He definitely has shifty eyes. All right. So the statement of facts, Alice Quillerlo, okay, hereafter just referred to as Alice, okay. Alice's family had requested that Alice, formerly listed as a Jane Doe in the charging documents, be referred to by her real name. That's been petitioned. That took several whiles to do. The original arrest affidavit had her listed as Jane Doe. Okay. She was reported missing on December 21st of 2020 at approximately 9 a.m. Law enforcement were aware that the defendant, okay, Shawnee Lynn Krall, was Alice's roommate. When law enforcement made contact with defendant, he was, and I quote, less than cooperative. Law enforcement was aware defendant was on supervised probation and made contact with his probation officer, Potter. Defendant's probation officer authorized a search of defendant's residence. vehicles, and cell phone. Okay, that's very important. Probation's allowed to do that, right, Jay?
Yep.
If you are under supervision by the state, officers of the state are allowed to authorize things against your person, against your will, like whatever. They search and seizure. They can walk in at any time. They're allowed to walk into your house at any time unannounced. Okay. Right. Police learned that defendant had been in discussions with a person regarding the purchase of a van as a result of a search and seizure of defendant's cell phone. Okay. Police followed up with the person defendant had been communicating with, later identified as Barnett, and learned defendant had been at Barnett's property around noon on the same day. On the same day that Alice went missing, approximately 3 hours after the missing person report was made. Law enforcement further learned that defendant drove a vehicle to Barnett's property on December 21st, 2020, and was storing it on Barnett's property. It was discovered defendant dropped the vehicle off at Barnett's around noon on the same day Alice was reported missing, approximately 3 hours after the report was made. And they're just repeating themselves there. I don't know why. Police learned about this vehicle the day after Alice was reported missing. Officers learned defendant was the person who dropped the car off, but its license plates were not registered to the defendant, Shawnee Lynn Krall. Make note of that. Police contacted the registered owner, who was identified when by police ran the plates, and the person stated they sold the vehicle about a year before, but could not recall the name of the buyer. So they did not identify the owner as Shawnee Lynn Krall. Law enforcement contacted defendant's probation officer again to see if they could do a probation search of the vehicle, which was a Ford 500 sedan. Potter, the PO, did not grant law enforcement permission to search the vehicle solely because Potter was not able to identify that the vehicle belonged to Krall, because Krall had never reported the vehicle to probation, which he's required to do for all vehicles that he owns. So he did not grant them permission because he couldn't determine that defendant owned the vehicle since he had never reported it. Another big point that's going to become very important very soon. Barnett told law enforcement he did not want the vehicle on his property. Now, this is the guy that has the property that he brought the vehicle to. Law enforcement contacted a tow truck and commenced an inventory search of the vehicle. The trunk of the vehicle was opened, at which point police observed what they believed to be a human body. The scene was frozen, and police secured a search warrant after they popped the trunk.
Now, you might want to know why they commenced an inventory search. Do you know why they commenced the inventory search?
Because they're taking possession of the vehicle by towing it off of the property, and they have to be able to log it, and it's standard procedure because Barnett, the man whose property it was, not truck it was, but property, not sedan it was, vehicle, but whose property it was, asked them to remove it. They were now taking this vehicle into custody, and so they did a preliminary search so they could register this vehicle, so to speak, or fill out the form, so to speak, to have it towed and put on the property. Correct?
Yeah. So there's a reason why this is very particular in this case. If you want to take a break, I could take over for a minute. I know you.
Yes, no, absolutely. Go ahead, because my voice.
So the district court notes that there is no dispute that Barnett requested that the Ford 500 be removed from his property.
Mm-hmm.
The conflicting concern is when he made the request.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the cops say he asked the cop to be removed. Then they search the vehicle. They search what he's saying, or the defense was saying. I don't remember which one, but it contradicts saying that no, he didn't tell them to get it off the property till after they searched the vehicle and found the body. Then he was like, "Hey, get that shit off my property."
Exactly.
This whole thing leads to one of the most bizarre things I've heard in the case. And it went through the appellate courts for this too.
Mm-hmm.
The body has been tossed from evidence.
Yes,
because of an illegal search.
Yep. And I'm also putting down, I might have to, wait, that link might not be good, guys. I might have to get you another one, but I want to give you both sides of this argument. Like Jay's saying, there was a contradiction in when Barnett said to tow, like they could have the vehicle. But first of all, when you read the appellate, when it stood up by the Superior Court, because of course, when the defense filed the motion about illegal search and seizure, the judge immediately tossed the body, and anything found in the vehicle was immediately out. But worse than that, because they found a lot. When they opened that trunk, they found Alice Krall. She was bound. Okay. And when they did that, they also found DNA. They found the murder weapon. What they again went forward and charged an additional charge against Shawnee Lynn Krall of GSI, which is gross sexual imposition, meaning that the state is saying that Alice Krall died during a sex act because he tied her up and she could not actually stop him from doing anything, and she died during the course of it. And in the state of North Dakota, they actually have a statute about that, which makes it the AA felony, which means life in prison. And it's an extenuating factor in, it's violating against her will, and with the restraints caused her death. So it got worse. But not only is the body thrown out, I'm going to give you guys from Fine Law the actual appeal. I'm also going to give you the statute in regards to the GSI for North Dakota, okay? Because in North Dakota, it's a little bit different than elsewhere. But now I'm going to have to jump to the evidence. I have a slide here of all the evidence, because Jay, it's not just the body. Like when you see everything.
Yeah, because like I said, I was having a hard time trying to figure out what they've got this guy on, what actually happened. All I kept finding was these court things with the being thrown out and change of venues and ninth lawyer. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Not only that's gonna come up too. He's on his ninth lawyer, everybody, in 3 years. That's even more than Sarah Boone. For those of you that follow the cases with me, like if we thought Sarah Boone was crazy, he's on his ninth. Okay. All right. The evidence that was suppressed. Okay, and the Supreme Court upheld this, and they finished all of the actual aggravating appeals and everything during 23. This is when I became aware of it. When the state Supreme Court of North Dakota actually upheld this, that I was like, what? Wait a minute. There's a murder case, because it wasn't so much that they upheld it that shocked me. It was prosecution coming forward to the judge during a statement hearing and saying, that's okay, judge. We still got him. We got enough. Okay.
That's why I want to know, like,
what?
Tossing out the body, to me, tossing out the body and tossing out the van and going, we still got enough to prosecute. I'm like, what the fuck do you have?
Right, because
if you don't need the body in the truck, what do you got?
Okay, because here's the problem with evidence that I have taken from all the articles and all of the state hearings, because there's a local news company that's doing all the hearings and everything, and they do these little tiny 8-minute videos, and like I stringed like 20 of them together. Like I'm just like getting all this stuff. But the evidence that was suppressed is not only the body, but everything from the vehicle search, okay, which included on the body Krall's DNA. It's out. Okay, so the linking him directly to the body, gone. Okay. Second search results from his apartment and phones, which they got after they found the body. They then petitioned for another search of his apartment and everything because now, they've got a body and he's the main suspect. So they went and searched the house again, and all his personal phones and any related messages on the victim's phone that they didn't find until after they did that search to get his phone, because his phone led them to her phone with the messages. So because of that link, and because they found his phone in a search that they shouldn't have did after they found the body that just got tossed, that got tossed too. Okay. 2 witnesses that they have dead to rights and affidavits. They do have video interviews with them, thankfully, but they're gone. They are now deceased, unable to testify in court. And one of the witnesses is currently on probation. And recently, within the last few months, our judge has denied compelling that witness to actually come under protective custody to compel them to testify. She says he's already on probation. Concerns of the state are really unwarranted, even though all the evidence is tossed and 2 of the other witnesses are now gone. The judge would not do a protection order and compel this person to voluntarily commit to protective custody. So if she had said that they were compelled for custody and secured them, that would have been one thing. But he's still out there on probation, and we're just going to hope he makes it to trial. Well, speaking of trial, Jay, do you know it started on January 2nd, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And we went through the jury selection for 2 whole days.
Yeah.
And then boom.
And then what happened?
Go ahead, Jay. What?
The judge went, no, we're going to do a change of venue.
Mm-hmm.
So now they got to go through it all over again.
They are closed down the case. Not only because rightly so, defense actually said, hey, we've got a problem here. The publicity around this case is too much. This is going to be a prejudicial hearing. He's not going to get a fair trial here. Like, this has been going on too long. Like, nope, we can't do it here. But because it was the 9th lawyer, everything was filed late. Now, in December, you heard it right.
We've said it multiple times. 9th lawyer.
Yeah. And for the life of me, I tried to find all of their names. I can only find 4 names, so I'm not going to go into all the old ones. I can go into 8 and 9, though.
I only know the reason for one of them, and to me, that's a good reason.
It's a very good reason. And I think if any of the other ones are anything like it, I can understand why it's kind of problematic to be on this case. Okay. Yeah. But let's talk about that. That would go to, well, we just talked about the January trial that didn't happen. Okay. Uh-huh. Based on that, we have no further hearing dates. We have no new trial date. We don't know where it's going to be, because when it's slammed down, and there's nothing on record anywhere in the scheduling yet. So they're still discussing all of that. So we're at a stale right there. That's where the information stops on January 4th of 2024. Okay. Until we get something else. But if we go back to the last evidentiary hearing, which was when they were trying to tie everything up for this actual trial to start on January 2nd, that was in the last week of December. Okay. And Shawnee Lynn Krall was there. Okay. And his 8th attorney was there actually by video, like, would not come in, would not come into the courtroom. And I don't blame her. No, I do not blame her. Because his 8th attorney, and her name is, her last name is DeLorme. I think it's Brienne. I think the first name is Brienne, but attorney number 8 is, I believe, Brienne DeLorme. Okay. And she had been contacted. Well, first Krall filed a complaint against her. And the complaint that he filed against her, he said she was assigned in April and kept saying she'd file what I requested and stuff. But it was 8 months after she was assigned. And I
And
just
she
felt
was
like she wasn't
slow.
working on my case. After I put that in, she filed what I had requested. And that's kind of weird. Like, I just think she was taking too long. But let me just clarify that DeLorme was the one that got all this stuff removed from the case, got all the evidence suppressed. Okay. She also got the GSI charge removed, dropped with prejudice, but he wanted it without prejudice so they couldn't refile it. So he's pissed at her because if they find a way to put the body back in, he's going to go back on the GSI charge. Okay. Because if they have the body and can prove the assault with the body, he's going to have the GSI charge again. And he wanted this pre-done that they could never do that. So he wanted it filed without prejudice, but she couldn't make that stick. Okay. She did get prosecution to drop it with prejudice, which was quite the feat there too, because they could have still produced. Because I do believe, and I think Jay and I have talked about this, right, Jay? We do believe that the state is going to try to get that body back in some other way.
I'm not sure how they're going to do that, but that's more of your specialty than mine.
Yeah, the judge is already making comments about, what are you doing, prosecution? You're not trying to backdoor him when you are on the. And she literally said that in the December hearing. Are you trying to backdoor me with the body? Because, like, this is going to be like, it's already gone to the Supreme Court. Don't try to backdoor me with the body. But you're right. If they have a witness that saw him put the body in the trunk, game over. The body comes back in. Right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I want to get back. We get too far away on this.
Yeah.
One of the reasons she quit is because his mom told him that he should have sold his lawyer the first chance he gets.
So he gets a new lawyer because just filing this claim against her wasn't really gonna kick her off the case unless the judge kicked her off the case because she filed the complaint. Like, she could still actually work with him even though he was filing a complaint against her.
So the state So it says
ahead.
The state alerted Krall's attorney after becoming aware of a jail call between Krall and his mother that was sent to defense counsel out of the abundance of caution and concerns for the counsel's safety.
Mm-hmm. Which caused DeLorme to actually file a motion to be withdrawn after being informed that the really weird, that he might assault him. Now you're saying,
nope, I'm out.
Now you may say, people of YouTube and those in the chat and Jay, you may say, well, that's not really a big deal. He just said he was going to do it. Like, he just said he would.
What did they find in his jail cell?
A bunch of homemade weapons. He's got 2 charges with the prison of making weapons and concealed homemade weapons in his cell, which he leaves right out in the open.
Yeah, but that's what I didn't understand. Yeah. They were right there on the table.
Worse than that, he's got 47 claims of violence and registered in his file since he got into jail on December 23rd. 47. 41 of them had actual repercussions taken against him, like loss of services or put in confinement. But none of the victims of these acts of violence pressed charges. Not even the guard, the female guard, he locked in his own cell.
The one that cracked me up is he sent a message to his mom saying he may get violent with the people at the jail.
He might, yeah. Although he already has 47 times. Okay.
He might get violent. Maybe. Listen, I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
And it sounds like I'm laughing, but this is not the laugh of like, ha, ha, ha. This is the laugh of, I am so uncomfortable with this defendant. Like, he makes me nervous. Like, this is a nervous laugh, people. And it is kind of humorous, like what's going on with him. It is not humorous what is happening because of Alice Carollo. Like, I want her to get justice and I want her family. This is like ludicrous at how long that this case is taken and the stuff that's going on. This guy is like, first of all, he's not dumb, when it comes to legal maneuvers, they've done some brilliant work here with all 9 of his attorneys. Okay. His attorney of record that went on after the 28th, okay, is Stormy Vickers. Okay. And that is the attorney of record right now. But let's go back to that original first slide, because there's something important I want to bring up there about the legal stuff that has been going on with him. Just to show you this case is just, it's so rich. It's just
bizarre.
It's like, when I talk about covering something because it's got legal teeth, like this one definitely has legal teeth. Okay. In the beginning, his original attorney intended to give him a defense, filed with the court in July of 2021, because it did take quite a few months to get here, back and forth. He was arrested in December. There was the whole big thing about, the body and how it was found. They were still in appeal about having the body tossed up. That took quite a while. But they did file that they intended a defense of lack of criminal responsibility, which is kind of like the insanity plea in North Dakota.
Yeah, and that got tossed.
Okay.
And like, no, you're
actually,
not dead.
And unfortunately for Mr. Krall, the judge, of course, ordered a competency hearing, had him go under the whole thing, and he passed. Okay. So he was declared competent to go forward in trial in 2021. Okay. And they tried to take him to trial several times, but the appeal, the loss of the body, they had to have all these stays, the loss of multiple attorneys all over was right. Like I said, he was additionally charged with the GSI, which is a gross sexual imposition of the body, which was much later dropped and dismissed with prejudice. They can bring it forward again.
Now, this is where I was a little confused with this one, because from what I understood, from what I read, is as they were looking at the body, waiting for coroners and everything, that's when they decided, hey, we're going to charge him with this too.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just the murder first, but then while they're waiting, they're deciding, okay, let's hit him with this one too. Was that what I read, or was that?
Yeah, no, they did charge that later, not much later, but after autopsy, when they found out that she had been violated, and when they found the body was in a restrained. Now, I don't have pictures of the body. I can't say. I haven't heard testimony yet or seen an affidavit. But what they are saying in the appellate, that the body was restrained in such a way that there's no way she could have fought back, that because of that actual sexual relations happening, there's no way she could have done anything about it. And she actually died because of these restraints. So I don't know how he had her tied up, but
like I said, I didn't find any of that, but I haven't been researching this as long as you have either. So,
Well, I've only been actually deep diving in all of this week. Okay. This week.
Well, it's more than me. I've been 2 days.
Okay. So 1 week, but basically on the GSI charges, by researching the GSI and in the actual, if you read the actual appellate files of the case that went to get the body tossed, the condition of the body is all in there. It's in there, and so it made it into a few obscure articles also. So I was able to source it twice. I found it in the legal document, just paragraphs of it, and in the articles too. So it went forward. So that's where I got that. But it definitely, they did, and it is of record that they did file that charge, and then they removed it later because, like, they don't have the restraints or the body, so they can't use the autopsy report, which shows the assault. So, or the DNA. Like they said, Krall's DNA, which was in the body, has been tossed. Everything from the trunk of that sedan is tossed. Everything in regards to the body. So they couldn't have supported that charge anyway without it. So once the appeal went through that there was no body, they ended up dropping the GSI. Once it was the appeal did not overturn the judge's decision to suppress all that evidence, They couldn't go forward with that chart. Okay. Nope, they Juju, so help me, they are not using tarot cards or spirit guards, I promise. I promise, okay? I promise, okay? And Mark, the cops should have said they could smell what they thought was someone in danger and open the car for that reason. You know, I had thought about that they might have thought she was alive or whatever, but they didn't have any reason to believe. Here's the problem. They had no reason to believe he owned that vehicle. And they tried to say he had no right to privacy because he had given it to the other guy, but neither held up under Supreme Court, under the law. Neither notion did. And here's the problem. After they contacted the parole officer, this came up in the appeal. They contacted Potter, the PO, and were declined the search. So even if they could prove it was his car, his PO declined the search. They still would have had to contact the PO to get the search. Okay. And he had already declined. And they didn't recontact him with any more evidence as to it being Krall's car. What they did was take a Slim Jim, pop the window, open the car, and did a search, and then pop the trunk and found a body. And when they found the body, they just went forward with what they would normally do. Okay. And she was only missing a few days. Juju's right, Mark. They wouldn't have smelled anything yet. I'm not sure, the heat or it was December, so it was cold, even in North, especially in North Dakota, right, Jay? Like it was cold. So I doubt that the body was in any decomposed state after 2 days to actually, and actually they found it that day, the 21st, like one day. They arrested him on the 23rd, but they found the body on the 21st. Juju wants to know if all of the lawyers are public defenders. Yes. Shawnee Lynn Krall is not paying for any of them. They're all public defenders. Wait, he ditched the lawyer that got all the freaking evidence removed? Yeah, he did, Juju. Like the nerve, right? Oh, and he threatened her life.
He was too slow.
Yeah. And mom decided that she needed a good beating so that she would do what he said. Like, yeah. Or so she could be gone so that he could get a new lawyer. Okay. He needed a new lawyer because that wasn't moving fast enough for them. Okay. He'd been sitting in jail on a $2 million bond for all of this time. Now, they did lower the bond several times during the appeal thing to like $200,000, and he still couldn't get out, Jay. It might have had something to do with all those, like, other things he was doing in the jail. He was doing like a lot of stuff. I mean, he assaulted guards. He assaulted workers at the jail. He assaulted inmates at the jail. You name it. Yeah. And violation of property, damage to property. He's a big one for throwing things around the room. Yeah. Especially like the room where the TV is and stuff like that, where everybody's hanging out.
Yeah, he likes to throw a temper tantrum.
Yeah. He's kind of big at that. And he's the big guy. He's 6 foot. Okay. And as you can see, I had a picture of him on the thumbnail. He's not a little guy. Okay. He's a big dude. Okay. So when he's tossing stuff around, he's causing some damage. But 47 documented events, 41 of them were actually, he had some kind of repercussion within the prison system, although none of it added to additional charges. Like, nobody charged him with battery, or violence or anything like that. No personal charges on him, additional charges, except for 2 charges of concealed handmade weapons. 2 charges of those that he still has to go to separate trial for having those in prison. One of them was a plastic sporky spoony thing that had all kinds of like sharp things attached to it some way. Bolts and nails. And then a sock that was full of soap and shards and sharp implements and things that he could swing at people. And he kept them on his nightstand. They can't really say they were concealed because he kept them out in the open. And he thought that was, they couldn't charge him because they were out in the open. But he's still not supposed to have them. So, like, I don't know why he thought that. But, like, That's the answer. They weren't concealed.
Mark made a comment. I had a giggle and said it could have been anybody they were smelling, and that would have given them the right to search the vehicle. That's been like, hey, Steve, you stink. Let's check the vehicle.
You know what? You know what? You could be right. They may have actually tried that, but like they tried a lot to keep it in. And unfortunately, the more they finagled their statements, the more it looked like they did it the wrong way. And, it kind of, the judge was like, nope, nope. That would be okay if that's what you did. Did you contact the parole officer again? And when they said no, and then when did Mr. Barnett make the statement? And then Mr. Barnett actually said a different time. Okay.
So this tossing the body thing, what come to my mind was back in the day we had a little discussion about the lady that from was Colorado, where she was missing, and we figured it was the dad that did it.
Oh,
and we had a little argument.
Suzanne Morpho, and we went back
Morpho.
and forth. Yeah, because granted, that was 149-page warrant affidavit, right? 149 pages. It was the biggest one I'd ever seen. Yeah. I thought they had this guy dates to rights. I really did.
But the thing came up about how do you prosecute without a body, right? And I said, then they don't need a body to prosecute if they have a crime scene. And I think that's what the defense is going on now. They have a crime scene, so the body is not necessary.
But about the crime scene, since he lived with her, that's the crime scene. And the first search, the preliminary search, when she was missing that they made, they get all that evidence. But after they found the body, they went back and did another search knowing that something happened. So when they did the luminol and they did all the really extensive CSI, that's all out, Jay. That got tossed because the reason they went back.
That didn't get tossed. The body and the vehicle got tossed.
No, so did all the evidence of the second search. It says so in the actual appellate.
I didn't read that.
The judge did in the December. She clarified that. That's out. The DNA from the body's out. The second search is out. It's fruit of the poisonous tree. Illegal search and seizure sent them back to the apartment for the second gathering of evidence. They wouldn't have done that if they didn't find the body, and they wouldn't find the body if they didn't do an illegal search. Fruit of the poisonous tree, it is out. So is the secondary searches of all his cell phones that they found.
See, I didn't catch that part.
Yep, on the list. The second search of the apartment is out. So
if the second search is out and the body's out and the vehicle's out and they have 1,000 pages of evidence, what do they have?
Well, they have 2 witnesses on video that gave affidavits that they were going to use. Those 2 witnesses did. And they have 1 more witness who's like a shady guy on probation that somehow or another he's connected with Shawnee Lynn Krall, and he's going to be one of their primaries. They also are bringing in an expert witness, a psychologist. And that's when the judge said, why are you trying to backdoor this body in? Like, what's going on here? Like, why you need an expert witness as a psychologist? Like, but she allowed it. And they're going to say, and that's when our prosecutor, which is Tiffany Sorgen, actually, let me bring that up. I've got more slide stuff for you guys here. Like I did try to get some stuff together. The judge is Stacy Louser. She's been actually the only one who stayed with this case besides Shawnee Lynn Krall, because we stuck his butt in jail. Is the judge Stacy Louser. Those 2 people have been the same since December all the way through. The defense has changed 8 other times. We currently have defense attorney Stormy Vickers. He's number 9. The state is being actually putting through filings with Tiffany Sorgen. She's the latest, but there's a whole string of prosecutors in regards to that, because there was a lot of complaints made by Mr. Krall during all of these hearings to say that Tiffany Sorgen herself, used misleading tactics and destroyed evidence against him. He made another filing. Yes, I'm not kidding, Jay. It gets that crazy. From jail, he's saying this woman actually targeted him and did some misleading stuff with witnesses and all. And yet when his eighth attorney, Miss Delorme, came before the judge, she said, well, we'll be bringing that forward. And the judge was like, when you gonna, like, it's December, when you gonna be bringing this forward? He says, well, he hasn't actually produced the witness list for me, like, of what he's talking about. She said, well, if he's not going to say exactly what he's talking about, and she starts talking right to Mr. Krall. He goes, what are you talking about? He said, I don't like the way she approached everything. I have reason to believe. She says, you have reason to believe or you have evidence of? And he's like, he didn't have any evidence of. So like, okay. So like that, like, so then they decided that Tiffany Sorgen could be the state prosecutor, because here was the problem. If she was going to be entangled in a claim of not doing her job appropriately, and he was filing charges on her about that, how is she supposed to, like, it's going to make a conflict of interest for her to be the prosecuting attorney, you know, to go in. So the judge was trying to straighten out that. I've got to give Judge Lauser a lot of credit, because the crap that she's had to straighten out in 3 years with all of these players, and especially with Mr. Krall himself, has been, you know, astronomical, you know, unbelievable. Okay. So we're going through a change of venue, and I did tell you, this is Judge Lauser. Meet Judge Lauser. We're going to know this face. Hopefully she's going to go through the trial. I don't know where it's getting moved to, but in other experience I've had, when they have a change of venue, the players get to go to the new location, like the judge and the prosecution and all. They just have to go to a different courthouse for a different jury pool. You know what I mean, Jay? Like, we just had that in Idaho, okay, with the Daybell and the Vallow cases. The judge went from Ada County to another, you know, they went back and forth. But they actually just used a courtroom in another jurisdiction, and they used the jury pool from that jurisdiction, which is the main thing, because they say that there's so much going on with this case that it's prejudicial, and the publicity, he's not going to get a fair trial. So the last thing that Judge Stacy Lauser wanted was actually everything to get all her judgments to get appealed based on the publicity. You know, after they've waited 3 years to go to trial, she doesn't want to get overturned on anything. So she, you know,
Juju said that I find it very interesting. Publicity concern were enough to cancel the trial. Well, I did look it up because I wanted to see how big Minot was, and it's only got a population of just over 47,000. Now,
right.
It sounds like a lot of people, but when it comes to a case like this, that's not a lot of people. So, a lot of, in a smaller town like that or a smaller city like that, finding an unbiased jury pool is really hard to find in a you know, an area that small, especially when it happened in that city.
Exactly.
You know, if it was in the county, it's a little different. But when it's in the city itself, then you're having it's a little bit harder to pull an unbiased jury pool. That's why they changed venue to a different area.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is going to, they'd have to, I think also, it became quite evident. See, this motion was already filed, but she hadn't actually ruled on it yet. But as she's going through jury selection, then she's finding a lot of bias in the jury. Okay. As they're going through the process, I'm sure they were having some difficulty, and that's why it got shut down so quickly, because they didn't go for it. I mean, it was just too difficult. She had to agree with the defense at that point that it was not going to be possible to get them, you know. Hey, Tsunami. Yep, during voir dire. Exactly. Nice use of the good terms there, Juju. Thank you very much. That's exactly what I just said. It became quite evident that they weren't going to be able to get a good, solid, non-biased jury to represent. And the last thing any judge wants is to be overturned, right, Jay? I mean, they're pretty cautious about this. And she would rather, listen, the last thing that Judge Stacy Louser wanted to do is delay this trial, because in December she was all over both the state and the defense saying, that's it, we're knocking all this out now, you better bring me everything, like we've waited long enough. And she even said directly to Mr. Krall, whatever it is that you're doing, like, we need to come to a resolution. The family deserves some closure. You deserve some closure. We need to bring this to trial. You need to stop all these shenanigans. Like, basically, she was like, listen, if you have something to do a complaint, file it, get the evidence for it so I could actually rule on it. But none of this keep bringing it, and I've got to like maybe consider it when you haven't brought anything like right to me. There's nothing to it, right?
And that goes back to the right to a speedy trial. And it's not just the defendant's right to a speedy trial, it's the victim's rights to a speedy trial also. They have the right to not sit around and wait 15, 20, 30 years while you play patty cake with the judge and everything, trying to figure out how to delay your case as long as possible.
Exactly. And
they're only, you can only delay it for so long before you start becoming in contempt and shit.
Exactly. Now, I have to go back. Now we got to talk about, again, we have to talk about all of those acts of violence during his current prison stay. Okay. No charges made by those assaulted, but the judge initiated extra security measures for this trial and all hearings. Okay. There are 4 guards necessary for that, and that's a lot. Usually there's at the maximum 2. Okay. Usually with the coming, they want 2 on him at all times when he's being transported and while he's in the courtroom. They want another guard for the galley and 1 roaming through the courtroom, because they have evidence. They've had events and incidences during the actual hearings that have been done in Minot, right there in that jurisdiction, where family members of Shawnee Lynn Krall have been very disruptive in quite troublesome during the hearings in the galley. Okay.
Well, so after the video of the guy jumping and beating on that judge, I want a bunch of guards there too.
There's now there's visual evidence of why it's necessary, but she did all this just quite a few months back, like in the beginning of 2023. She actually secured all of that based on the prison records of that. Juju had made a comment a while back about the weapons that he created. Was any of the attorneys' names on them? No, he didn't put any names on them, thankfully. But they did talk about it. And by the way, they actually recorded that call of the mom and Shawnee. She actually went to the prison and had a conference with him about it, and how they, for as legal minded as he is with what should be filed and not, and telling his attorneys what to do, why he thought that wouldn't be recorded and used, I have no idea. Okay, because all phone calls and visits are recorded. Okay, so you don't have a right to privacy in prison. You just don't. Okay. So I don't know. But yes, her name was Brianna DeLorme, the 8th defense attorney, who Hugh Krall requested removal. And Krall was in the process of filing a huge complaint against her. Okay. The judge granted her out and then actually reassigned another attorney and actually went forward with another hearing like within the week to get the evidential hearing, to get that pretrial hearing done, to make sure they could go forward on January 2nd. Now, the last act. Now, this is why I don't understand why Krall was so upset with Brianna DeLorme. She got all the evidence tossed out. She got a charge dropped. And she actually even filed for the change of venue before she left. I mean, she did some really heavy legal work for this guy. I don't know why he was upset with her.
I think it was just another way to prolong the trial.
Yeah, it was like a stall tactic. I do think you got something there, G. I really think that's exactly what it was. The last picture I have is the last hearing that he attended before he decided that she was no good. of Brianna DeLorme. That is the only attorney picture I have. I don't even have her face because when I search all these names, I cannot get it. I can't get a picture of the prosecutor. I can't get a picture of Stormy Victors because Stormy Victors is listed in the articles as female, but comes up with a male's picture. And the prosecutor doesn't have a picture on file. There's just all these men attached to Tiffany Sorgen, who the judge repeatedly refers to her as a she in all of the statements. So like, I knew the pictures were wrong. So I have to like get you some more pictures to identify them, but we at least know who we're talking about there. But you know, here he looks kind of sedate, doesn't he, Jay?
Mhm. Yeah, he looks kind of.
Yeah, but not like with all the shenanigans on, you know. Yeah, Mark, me too. But it's Shawnee, like it's actually Sean with the double E's at the end of it. And oh my, I actually found something out about P. Diddy today too. Like, you know, we'll have to talk about that at a later date. Let me just look for some more questions here. Yep. Juju, that is the point of voir dire, is to make sure we have an unbiased jury. You know, it does make sense. It does that, you know. Juju, he better cool his jet. That much security around him will prejudice the jury. Yes. Okay. Now, that was another thing. She opted for security guards instead of having him bound. He could actually wear there was a couple of other people that I know of that they actually put those shock vests underneath their prison wear. And made them wear it, okay, to sit there in trial, and that would definitely prejudice the jury because they would like know about the motions and everything. It could come up. If they shackled his hands to the table, they would see it. If they shackled him to the floor, they would see it. Okay, so you know the security guards. But actually, you know, your defense attorney has to sit there right next to you, and I don't know how a defense attorney is going to be comfortable actually sitting there. But Stormy Vickers took the case and you know, actually is moving forward. He actually was very pleased that the judge was going for a different venue. So we're gonna see. I'm hoping within the next couple of months it'll go back to trial. Okay. And I'm gonna look for a feed because man, if this one is a live feed, we're there. We're there, people. Like we're
Court
there.
TV said they will be covering the trial from gavel to gavel.
Okay, so that means there is a feed, even if I can pull up Court TV if they let us. Okay. I will try to find the feed. We will be doing it. Okay, people. Like, whoa, this one is crazy. Crazy. Okay. If anything, the lack of a body can sometimes be used in itself. The absence of the person, if they're a particular reliable individual. Well, you mean, okay. Well, that, you see, I was wondering why they didn't do that because it was so soon. Like, why didn't they press that they thought maybe she was alive and in danger? She had a brain tumor. Okay. But because of the interviews in the declining with the probationary officer and Mr. Barnett, they didn't approach it that way. You know, they were trying to secure. Also, they actually, here's what really put the nail in the coffin for the for the appellate court. They contacted the state prosecutor's office for a search warrant. If there was imminent danger of that person being alive and suffocating in that tech, they would have just did it and then contacted the state. They did all this before they jimmied it open. And then what happened is when they were declined everything, then they jimmied it open anyway. You see what I mean? This is what went against them. This is why the state Supreme Court upheld the judge's decision. The judge was like, you just did it in the wrong order, people. You know, they would have had more for extenuating circumstances had they jimmied it open first and then did all the rest of it. But that's not the way it played out. This trial will be fascinating to watch without the body. It will. I want to see how they try to get the body back in, because I'm sure they're going to. It's so rich with evidence that I'm sure they're going to. I do love. I miss watching trials together. I'm hoping that the Murdaugh hearing on the 29th will be actually able to watch it, but I've got some news on that too, good and bad. Yeah, not which we can talk about on another date. But hopefully there's a couple. We know that the Koberger trial is going to be, and the hearings are now going to be on Judge's YouTube, because he's going to be in total control of it. But okay, Jay, we got a few more minutes left. What are you thinking?
It's just it's going to be interesting to see what they have. That's what I can't wait to find out.
But I think I got a lot in there for there not being a lot in there. Like, you found that they had thousands of pages of evidence, and I think it's interviews. I think it's statements from neighbors. I think it's like noises that maybe somebody heard something during the attack, or witness to the relationship between Alice and Sean. But I could not even find what he was on probation for. Like, this is shut down now, like, completely. There's just nothing but articles in news feed snippets, 8-minute little reels. That's it.
Yeah, they said it was a hard case to try to find anything. It's just hard, and because there's not a lot there. It's a lot of the same stuff, and it's just been a lot of the court stuff. So to actually find a lot of information on the case itself is really tough.
Yeah, I would recommend reading the actual appellate, and hold on, I'm going to actually get the other one. The first link that I had dropped was it appellate? Was the appellant, I believe. Yeah, so let me get my link for the other one, because I would actually recommend reading those two, because what that will do is it actually lays out like how he got charged, at least.
Mm-hmm.
And what the events were there. So it's like a good basic anyway. I recommend everybody do, if you like reading the little details. But that's where I was able to piece together actually what they were accusing him of exactly.
So, just to get a little off topic here,
Okay.
I mentioned Morphew earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Did I hear right? They found the body?
Yes, they did. Yes, they did. They were looking for another body, and they found hers. Yeah. But so far, and I'm watching that, so far, nothing else yet. Okay. Let me change this to anyone with the link. Copy the link. All right, I'm going to drop two links. This is the appellee and appellant filings for the removal of the body. This is what went to the state Supreme Court and what they had to use, so that you guys have what we have for better discussion. Yeah, Tsunami. You know what? I can't, he sued everybody. But here's the thing, right, Jay? Like, the problem with that case, and we can get off topic here, because believe me, Shawnee Krall was a lot. Like, definitely, I could use the last few minutes talking about something else, actually. With Morphew, it was Linda Stanley. It was the damn state prosecuting attorney, that, like, the woman in charge of everything, who messed that all up. Absolutely. I don't know if they're going to be able to bring a case against Morphew at this state. I really don't. Regardless of what the body shows. I mean, they'd be able to find his DNA on the body around her neck. And we would not be able to go forward with this case because of what that woman did within the department.
What did she do?
Well, she actually intimidated all of the people working in her department on whether to go forward with the charges. She actually, there was evidence about, she is the reason that the DNA evidence that they found in the vehicle was not disclosed in the warrant. They knew about it before they put the warrant out. They did 149 pages in the affidavit and didn't mention any of the other DNA that was found. Okay, it was relevant. They left out a lot of stuff that they found during the investigation. She skewed it to look one way instead of looking like the whole case. She cherry picked it. And she actually intimidated people. People left the department over it during the investigation. And one
Huh.
guy was very, very credible and actually wouldn't work under her and left. And they actually found out after. And Barry Morphew used that when he went after the state. He was suing the state for wrongful prosecution.
Yeah,
For
I heard about that. I didn't see what heck came out of that.
and it was he used this guy's testimony basically to fuel it. Oh, but yep. Yeah, her
Hmm.
actions were actually shameful, and she's actually been sanctioned, charged, stripped of her actual lawyer. She's not a lawyer anymore. So, yeah,
So,
she's
so
shameful.
you still think Barry did it?
Yeah, I do.
What? So
What
just I don't want
what
to
is
get too much into it, but what changed since the last time we talked about it that makes you even more convinced that he did it?
nothing? I still think he did
You
it.
still going on the earlier evidence,
I here's here's
very circumstantial evidence.
very circumstantial evidence. Yes, I think it's a very well hidden. I don't think they have. All right, there's here's the statement that I'm going to make. I think Barry Morphew did it. Can they prove it in a court of law? Doubtful, very doubtful. But here's why I think Barry did it. It happened on Mother's Day. There's documented argument. She wanted a divorce. She was having an affair. They interviewed the man she was having the affair with extremely. They were they weren't going to be getting together or anything. It's not like she ran off to the Bahamas like he said. She would never leave her grown children. She had dates with her grown children after the Mother's Day and for Mother's Day that she would not have absconded with a man for. She was not that kind of woman. Many people came forward to say so. There's many affidavits on file from her friends, her family, and her neighbors. It just was against her character. This is what Barry said was the reason that she wasn't around anymore. Okay. Also, let's go to the hotel. We've got footage of Barry with bags of stuff and even colorings of clothing that she may have been wearing, but we're not sure. Okay. That he's disposing of. He's bringing from the house. They document him getting into the car, bringing all this stuff with him to a hotel, shovels, rakes, bags of stuff, which he then starts to dispose of periodically into the dumpsters around the hotel. Okay, why, if you're not trying to hide something, do you bring your garbage and your bags from your home into your vehicle, into a hotel to dump it in the dumpster? You're hiding something. I would say that the reason I think Barry did it is Barry. Barry's own behavior, Barry's statements, Barry's actions, Barry caught on video, Barry's text messages. Barry's why I think Barry did it. There you go. That's it. That's
I
all I
said
got.
it's everything about it is completely circumstantial.
It is the bike, the way, well, also the way, like, we could go back and forth about how the bike was thrown up on the hill. It did not look, and it didn't even look to the investigating officer like it could have appeared there that way just if she ran off the road. It was tossed out of a vehicle.
Yeah, but there's
Or,
not
yeah.
not necessarily because somebody could have stole it and ditched it though.
Yeah, but it was tossed out of the vehicle. It wasn't. Barry said she probably just ran off the road because she's a bad driver. Like and here's the other thing. Every time they found a new piece of evidence, Barry came up with another story. Remember the shotgun and the raccoons? Hello?
The remember the what? Sorry.
Remember the shooting of the shotguns and the raccoons? Like when they
Yeah,
said Yeah, okay. But he didn't come up with that. That wasn't part of his original statement of what happened that day until they had evidence that somebody heard something. Hmm?
I
And
said
then when he
it's
found that, yeah, every time they brought him another little kernel of evidence, he changed his story to include it. He had a reason, but it never showed up in his original statements. Hmm.
I said I still stand by the fact that I don't think he could be convicted of it. Everything's too circumstantial. But now that they have the body, that may be a little different.
It might be, but the body was like it was not. It's not in a condition that you would hope they would get as much as they could, you know. But we're gonna have to see. But no charges to date. Matter of fact, there's not really much we can find on that one, you know. But yes, Tsunami, I'm glad you know a lot about that case too. Like it's gonna be good if that one comes forward.
Oh yeah,
I still
like
have it
Ray,
open. Yeah, I
like
still have it
like
open. Yeah.
Raven said, he may very well have done it though. It's quite possibly he may have done it, but from all the evidence I've seen, it's extremely circumstantial, very very thin.
Mm-hmm. Yep, he very male. And you're right. The color of the clothing. My point is, it was clothing. Why would he bring it from the house all the way to the hotel just to get rid of it like that?
Yeah,
Like he was obviously hiding stuff. I'm not
did
saying
they?
that that's
Now
what she was
here's the
wearing.
thing.
Yeah, yeah.
It could have been a piece of his clothing. It could have been the girl's clothing. Maybe he was having an affair. Did they ever find the clothing that he tossed in the garbage?
Well, they did prove he was having an affair. He did hook up with somebody afterwards. And there was all that sketchy stuff about stuff being delivered to the house after the house was sold. And that woman breaking in, violating these people's rights, going onto the property, hanging out near a tree, stealing stuff from the property, breaking in. Yeah, trying to find something. Like they were trying to hide something. Something got delivered to that house that they didn't want nobody to know about. That was weird. And that happened months later. Like weird stuff. Like the woman he was dating was bizarre. She actually had charges pressed against her for that.
Anyways,
there are cougars, yes, in Colorado, Tsunami. You're right. But anyway, that's as deep a dive as we could go on Shawnee Lynn Krall. I really thank your patience, everybody, for how disjointed that was. But that's how I could get to put it together.
Exactly. Mark says is exactly. It's not
Mhm.
whether or not he did it, assuming that the evidence is strong enough to prosecute him for it.
Exactly. I do feel that he did it, but I will have to admit with Jay that there's probably not enough there to actually nail him for it. Although I did see an amazing nailing of Murdaugh, and they didn't have a murder weapon.
I said that, and I said it is more likely he did do it, but the evidence they got is awful shaky.
Yeah, proving it's going to be another thing, That was a deep dive. Thank you, Mousy. I'm glad. Does anybody have any other questions on that, on either one? Like if you want to talk more for a little, because I don't get to talk more for. I'm so glad Jay brought it up because there hasn't been anything new. But that was that was the reason I started doing true crime, wasn't it, Jay? That was the case that came out. That was the first one I started to do because that was bugging me so much. Because I used to just do this privately, like behind the scenes for myself. Me and Mandy and a couple of other people, we'd go from, chat to chat and follow the legal lawyers and stuff like that. And we would talk legal briefs and I would pull documents. So I remember I'm fucking Reagan used to help me with documents and stuff. And I remember she said, "Did you know about this one?" And she sent me that 149-page affidavit. And I was like, whoa, oh my God, are you kidding? And we started talking every day about it. And then I was on fire. I was like, I got to go to YouTube with this one. This is great. And that's when you and I started talking about it. And that's when everything took off. We really should get together on another old one, another like deep dive on a serial killer, true serial. Like after you're done your video. Yeah. We'll do another one.
I was actually thinking about one not too long ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to talk about it now or later?
Oh no, we can. I was actually thinking. I think the next one we should do is Dean Corll, the Candyman.
You know what? I did talk about the Candyman a little bit on Halloween. I would love to do that. Let's do that. Yeah. How do you spell his last name again?
Corral, I believe.
I think it's AL, right? You know?
Yeah. And I don't remember. I don't remember if it's one L or two L's.
Okay. So that would be next. Okay. That would be
C
on
O
our,
R L L.
yeah, that's going to be our next true crime review, because that's what I like. Instead of a legal update, it's going to be a true crime review, because that's done, right? Yeah, that was
Oh,
told.
he did.
He did. He did.
he did. One of his
Yeah.
victims shot his ass.
Juju's. Oh, you got Juju excited. She's all in the chat. The Candyman, yes, please. Yes, okay. There you go. I knew you'd have a good one. I know, Tsunami. I know. Ooh, but it is an enticing case. And what I love is all the facts and like the motives. Like, here's the thing on Shawnee Lynn Krall, the motive here would obviously just be assault, right? Like he just like they're saying she died at in the act of being assaulted. No, so I don't know. I don't know what he's on probation for. I want to get a hold of that file, because I think that would lend some more credibility to the motive and the fact that he actually, had a reason to do this, Mm. They still haven't identified all these victims. I don't believe so. Tsunami, I wonder how they actually know for sure how many victims the serial killer does do, because like,
Well, when we get into Dean Coral, I can tell you.
okay, good. All right. So on that, Jay, do you have anything else you'd like to bring up?
No. Hopefully this weekend I'll have the Bundy done. I was sick for the beginning of the week, so I didn't get a lot done. So I wouldn't look for it any time before Sunday.
No.
But hopefully I'll have it up by Sunday.
All I can say about that is it's definitely going to be worth the wait. I love your videos on this stuff. You do a great job laying it all out. I can't wait to see it. Everybody, I guess we're going to wrap up. We're going to wrap up then for the night. Shenanigans should be going on later on. I think they're doing their red carpet roasting of the outfits for those of you who enjoy that. And my lovely mod, Mrs. Cassandra, she'll be over there getting that ready. So hopefully you can go over there after. I usually have the links down below. Let me see if I could just pull that one up really quick.
I do have, for those of you who are interested, let me get it pulled up here real quick. I found something a while back on little this YouTube, and I will post. I can't post a link. I'll put it to you, and have you post it in the link. So I'll put it in our private chat.
Okay. Oh, do you not have a wrench? I gotta give you a wrench again. I'm sorry, Jay.
I don't have a wrench. So if you could throw that into the
I will, and you're going to get a wrench. I'm sorry. That's is that Carol DeRanch, right?
Carol DeRanch.
She's got some serial killers on here. Ooh, yeah, here you go.
Carol DeRanch is a surviving victim of Ted Bundy.
Okay, so
and she has her own YouTube channel.
Yeah, can you type in the chat for me real quick, and I will get that wrench going for you. I'm gonna make sure. And Shill, could you please pull Shenanigans for me? For some reason, it's not coming up for me. It is on my channel, like and it's not clicking. I don't know what's going on with it. Like I have them listed in my channels, and it's still not coming up. Like what? Okay, hold on. Oh wait, I got it. Chill. It finally popped. Never mind. Oh.
So yeah, I will be using some of the videos she has posted on her YouTube in my video, because there's some of this stuff I haven't seen anywhere else but on her stuff.
Okay, you should be a mod now. You should be a mod.
Okay.
Oh, she has all vintage Bundy stuff on there. That is amazing, Jay. Thank you. You know what? This is what they love about you. Like they love you giving them these little podcasts and these little like, ooh, You
Ooh.
lit the best tidbits for us, Juju. Like you're so
So-
excited. I love it. Yeah.
There's other so another reason it's taken me so long is because I'm actually listening audiobook, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
A Stranger Beside Me by Anne Rule, which is her story about Ted Bundy. She was the woman
Uh-huh.
that sat next to Bundy while he worked in the suicide hotline,
Oh.
and she was also a crime investigator in Seattle at the same time. So I'm listening to her book. I'm also listening to Mindhunter, getting some little information from that. That is a fantastic book by John Douglas. If you guys haven't
Oh,
listened to that one,
Mindhunter is great.
yeah. And then I've also listened to Necronomicon's cover of Ted Bundy, Serial Killer's cover of Ted Bundy, True Crime All the Time, True Crime Garage. So yeah, I'm getting a lot of information, and it's just a matter of getting all the information condensed and put and refined. Yeah.
That's why I said it's going to be worth the wait. So don't put the pressure on you. I know it's going to be excellent when it comes out, and we're all looking forward to it. But behind the scenes, we'll get together and schedule something on Coral. They're all excited about that. But otherwise, I'm done for the evening. Jay, thank you so much for joining me. This made it a little more. I've been going crazy about these cases, like obsessed. I'm so glad it's out now. Like I got it out. We can go forward and see what happens, and we've got what little bits we can documented, but I'm going to keep searching and just come up with it. And yes, my murder minions, if you find anything on it in regards to the legal documents, let me know, or about when the court will be actually film, from which court or whatever, anything like that. But not all the old articles. Believe me, I've got a whole catalog of all the old articles. And for those of you that are part of the Discord, and I never did put the banner up, I will put it up now. I can't believe like I did that again. But there we go. I'm still
what's
doing
his
my
face
fingers.
wasn't there at the beginning to yell at you.
I know Fish Nerd. Fish
Fish
Nerd was
Nerd,
over there. He was probably getting ready over there for he mods over there for shenanigans. He's probably had his hands full. So and I don't blame him, but yeah, let me just say, just like, share, put a comment on there if there's anything you wanted to ask and it didn't come up, or you think about it later, let us know. But also don't forget to if you are a member of the channel or a Patreon member, then you're in the Discord, and we do have a room for Shawnee Lynn Krall, and you can read all the articles that we did find and what little documentation. But I did, for those of you that aren't or still here in the chat, I did actually list you the 2 appellate readings, and also the GSI law in North Dakota, and also a good law review on why the actual appeal went the way it went and why the body actually got tossed. It was a good breakdown from a group of lawyers that I listed that too. And I'm going to list that one more time, because I think that one actually does a play-by-play of why it went the way it went. And so for those of you that are a little, nerdy like I am about this stuff, you'll find it entertaining.
So I just want to say something here. For those of you that have Spotify and you have Spotify Premium, Mindhunter and The Stranger Beside Me are both available on audiobook on Spotify for free if you have Spotify Premium.
The Stranger Beside Me was Anne Rule, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you have Spotify Premium, you can get both those audiobooks for free on Spotify. Because that's where I'm listening to them.
Premium makes them free. Okay, I put it in the chat. So documented for prosperity. There we go.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. They love that when you give them the podcast too. All right. So until we meet again, Jay, thank you so much for helping me with this one, because this one, and as soon as they said the body was tossed, it for some reason you just were right there in my mind.
I was like, you tossed the body. I'm like, because that's the first you said. Because you asked me if I want to do this case. I'm like, I don't know nothing about it. You're like, well, I'm like, send me what you got. You're like, well, it's in the thing. So the first article I clicked on, and the first thing I seen was the body was tossed. I went, excuse me, what?
And
that piqued my interest. I'm like, Okay.
And interesting is the judge actually came out and said, hey, prosecution, you sure you want to go forward with this? I mean, he's tossing stuff left and right. Like, look at everything that got tossed. And they're like, yup, we don't care. We are
Yeah.
on it. We've got enough. And I'm like, you do you? Like, what do you have? Like, I cannot wait to see what they have. Like, this is going to be some real good legal shenanigans going on in that court. It's going to be real good lawyering, I think we're going to be watching.
Juju says Jay's podcast suggestions make cleaning my house more enjoyable.
Yeah, she loves.
If you've listened to the serial killer podcast, the one the two-parter they did on Ted Bundy, they got their information from Stranger Beside Me from Ann Rule.
Oh, great. So yeah. That's good. All right. Thank you, Mark, for the compliment. It was good to see everybody. But I think on that, I think we're done, Jay. Have a good night. We'll see everybody soon. We'll be back by the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, everybody. Look on the community tab. And we are scheduling the Cody Awards for the Sunday after. So get in there. If you haven't voted already, get down there and vote for those 7 categories. It's a little farther down on the community tab, but we are definitely going to be doing those also. Hey, Ranty. Good to see you. You coming in. I'm just signing off, but man, it's nice to see your name. It's good to see you out here on YouTube. We should talk. This is going to be a good one. This one. Shawnee Lynn Krall. All right. Thanks, Jay.
Right.
Thank
Be
you,
water,
everybody.
my friends.
Yep. Thank you, moderators. We'll see everybody on the next one.